Mohandas Gandhi, 1869 to 1948. Mohandas K. Gandhi was the outstanding leader of the movement for an independent India, and for that reason alone, several people have suggested that he be included in the main section of this book. It should be remembered, though, that Indian independence from England was bound to come sooner or later. In fact, given the strength of the historical forces tending toward decolonization, we can today see that Indian independence would surely have been achieved within a few years of 1947, even had Gandhi never lived. It is true that Gandhi's technique of non-violent civil disobedience was ultimately successful in persuading the British to leave India. It has been suggested, however, that India might have gained independence sooner if the Indians had adopted more forceful methods instead. Since it is hard to decide whether, on the whole, Gandhi speeded up or delayed Indian independence, we might reasonably conclude that the net effect of his actions was, at least in that respect, rather small. It might also be pointed out that Gandhi was not the founder of the movement for Indian independence, nor was he the main political leader at the time independence was finally achieved. Still, it might be maintained that Gandhi's principal importance lies in his advocacy of nonviolence. His ideas, of course, were not entirely original. Gandhi specifically said that they were derived in part from his readings of Thoreau, Tolstoy, and the New Testament, as well as from various Hindu writings. There is little doubt that Gandhi's policies, if universally adopted, would transform the world. Unfortunately, they have not been generally accepted even in India. It is true that in 1954 to 55 his techniques were used in an attempt to persuade the Portuguese to relinquish control of Goa. However, the campaign did not succeed in its goal, and a few years later the Indian government launched an armed invasion. In addition, in the last 40 years, India has fought three wars with Pakistan and a border war with China. Other countries have been equally reluctant to adopt Gandhi's techniques. In the roughly 80 years since he introduced those techniques, the world has seen the two bloodiest wars in all history. Must we therefore conclude that, as a philosopher, Gandhi was basically a failure? At the present time, it certainly seems that way. However, it is worth remembering that 40 years after Jesus died, an intelligent, well informed Roman would doubtless have concluded that Jesus of Nazareth was a failure, if indeed he had heard of Jesus at all. Nor could anyone in 450 BC have predicted how influential Confucius would turn out to be. Still, judging from what has occurred so far, Gandhi seems entitled only to an honorable mention in this book.